Sterling GBP, British Pound, is the currency of the United Kingdom and nine of its associated territories. The pound is the main unit of sterling, and the word pound is also used to refer to the British currency, generally often qualified in international context as the British pound or the pound sterling. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Sterling is the world's oldest currency in continuous use since its inceptions. In 2022, it was the fourth most traded currency in the foreign exchange market after the euro and the Japanese yen. Together with those three currencies and the renminbi, it forms the basket of currencies that calculate the value of IMF special drawing rights. As of late 2022, sterling is also the fourth most held reserve currency in global reserves. The Bank of England is the central bank for sterling, issuing its own banknotes and regulating issuance of banknotes by private banks in Scotland and Northern Ireland. Sterling banknotes issued by other jurisdictions and are not regulated by the Bank of England. Their governments guarantees convertibility at par. Historically, sterling was also used to varying degrees by the colonies and territories of the British Empire. The first sterling notes were issued by the Bank of England shortly after its foundation in 1694. Demonetizations were initially handwritten on the notes at the time of issue. From 1745, the notes were printed in demonetizations between 20 pound and 1000 pound with any odd shillings added by hands. 10 pound notes were added in 1759, followed by 5 pound in 1793 and 1 pound with 2 pound in 1797. The lowest two denominations were withdrawn after the end of the Napoleonic Wars. In 1855, the notes were converted to being entirely printed with denominations of 5 pound, 10 pound, 20 pound, 50 pound, 100 pound, 200 pound, 300 pound, 500 pound, and 1000 pound issued. The Bank of Scotland began issuing notes in 1695. Although the pound Scot was still the currency of Scotland, these notes were denominated in sterling in value up to the 100 pound. From 1727, the Royal Bank of Scotland also issued notes. Both banks issued some notes denominated in guineas as well as pounds. In the 19th century, regulations limited the smallest note issued by Scottish banks to be the 1 pound denominations, a note not permitted in England. With the extension of sterling to Ireland in 1825, the Bank of Ireland began issuing sterling notes, later followed by other Irish banks. These notes included the unusual denominations of 30 and 3 pound. The higher denominations issued by the Irish banks was 100 pound. In 1826, banks at least 60 miles, that is 105 kilometers from London, were given permission to issue their own paper money. From 1844, new banks were excluded from issuing notes in England and Wales, but not in Scotland and Ireland. Consequently, the number of private banknotes dwindled in England and Wales, but proliferated in Scotland and Ireland. The late English private banknotes were issued in 1921. United Kingdom notes include raised print for worn on the words Bank of England. Embedded metallic thread, holograms, and fluorescent ink visible only under ultraviolet lamps. Three printing techniques are involved: offset litho, intaglio, and letter press, and the notes incorporate a total of 85 specialized inks. The Bank of England produces notes named Giant and Titan. A giant is a 1 million pound note, and a Titan is a 100 million pound bank note. Giants and Titans are used only within the banking system. On the first step of England in the building of its colonial system occurred in 1497 with the re-indications of the island of New Land in Canada, annexed in 1538. However, the growing of its empire got an effective impulse in the beginning of the 17th century in two main regions: North America, Antilles, and the Caribbean. In a dynamic marketed by advances and setbacks, the conquest in North America, where Virginia in 1607, Massachusetts in 1620, New Hampshire in 1623, Maryland in 1632, Rhode Island in 1636, Connecticut in 1639, New York in 1664, New Jersey in 1665, Pennsylvania in 1681. In the Antilles and Caribbeans, the English dominated Saint Lucia 1605, Bermuda 1609, Barbados 1624, Barbuda 1628, Nevis 1628, Bahamas 1629, Montserrat 1632, Antigua 1632, Anguilla 1650, Jamaica 1655, Nicaragua in 1658, British Virgin Island 1666, Simon Island 1670, Turks and Caicos Islands 1678. There were also some conquests in Africa, Ghana in 1621 and Gambia in 1661. In addition to the island of St. Helena, occupied in 1651. In the Indian subcontinent, the English also took their first step in the 17th century when they settled in Bombay in 1665. The name of the pound sterling is derived from the Latin word libra, which correspond to balance and weight. The Bank of England first issued the pound banknotes more than 300 years ago, with the notes undergoing several changes over the year. The pound coins first appeared in 1489 during the rule of Henry. Pound notes started to circulate in England in 1694, shortly after the establishment of the Bank of England, and the notes were originally handwritten. The pound worked in its complex scheme of pennies and shillings until 1971, when the decimal system was introduced. Coin minting was mechanized in 1660, and features such as side lettering were introduced in its design to help eliminate money clipping. British pound continues to exist independently today, although much of the rest of Europe already uses the euro as a common currency. The United Kingdom allowed the British pound to float freely in 1971 among other currencies. Such a decision allowed market factors to decide the value of the currency rather than artificial pegs. The United Kingdom considered attaching the value of the British pound to the Deutsche Mark in 1990, but soon afterwards discarded that notions. In 2002, after the euro became the shared currency of most member states of the European Union, the United Kingdom opted not to follow it. Instead, the United Kingdom retained British pound as its national currency. The British pound sterling is the currency of the United Kingdom as well as several British overseas territories, such as the British Antarctic Territory, Falkland Island, and the Isle of Man. The pound is also used in Jersey, Guernsey, and Gibraltar, where a local version of the currency, such as Guernsey pound and Gibraltar pound, are issued. Today, the British pound is considered one of the most stable and strongest currencies in the world. It is also one of the most traded amongst developed nations currencies and act as a yardstick against which many less developed nation currencies are measured and traded. The monetary system of Britain, as with almost all of its institutions during this time, was significantly impacted by the institutions of ancient Rome. Coins were denominated in the same formats as Roman coins, the most developed of which could be found in the Carolingian kingdom, roughly corresponding to modern day France and Germany. By the mid 700s, stable states had formed in most part of Europe, and England consisted of various feuding kingdoms, the most powerful of which was Mercia, ruled by King Offa. It was his government that introduced Charlemagne's monetary system into England. The English pound was initially known as the Libra Pondo, which translates to pound weight in Latin. This is where the L abbreviations originated and now configured as the pound symbol. It was equivalent to the French livre, which had been derived from the ancient Roman system. The main difference was the terminology used. Originally, penny coins consisted of pure silver, and 240 of them would weigh 1 English pound. In practice, however, 240 pennies rarely equaled 1 pound in weight due to various rounds of debasement, reduction of the silver content, and weight. The British pound received another boost when it became the official currency of the British Empire, as colonies were required to adopt it as legal tender. By this time, bimetallism made ways for the gold standard, which improved stability. The pound was therefore fully backed by gold reserves held by the United Kingdom government at that time. Maintaining this standard become rather tricky as government debt sorted caused by various colonial war.